The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world.
20 мая 23 года, 20.05.2023. Сегодня пополудня в 12 часов полностью был взят Бахмут. Последний участок так называемой многоэтажки самолета.
You just heard Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin declaring that his Wagner Group fighters had completed the capture of Bakhmut on Saturday. However, Ukraine rejected the claim and said fighting was still going on in its eastern city. On Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told a press conference at the G7 summit in Japan that Bakhmut was not under Russian control, contradicting Russia's earlier claims. A top Ukrainian general said that Kyiv's forces controlled an insignificant part of Bakhmut, but that the foothold would be enough to enter the devastated city when the situation changed. Zelensky said there could be no other possible interpretation. Bakhmut has not been conquered by the Russian Federation.
Сьогодні вони виконують дуже важливе завдання. Сьогодні вони знаходяться в Бахмуті. В яких точках ділитися не буду, але це говорить про те, що Бахмут не охоплений на сьогодні Російською Федерацією. Ніяких двох або трьох тлумачень цьому не може бути.
Wagner chief Prigozhin made the claim that Russia has captured Bakhmut in a video in which he appeared in combat fatigues in front of a line of fighters holding Russian flags and Wagner banners. Prigozhin repeated complaints that his forces suffered far heavier losses than necessary because of inadequate support and ammunition supplies from the army. Prigozhin has himself acknowledged that Bakhmut had no strategic significance, but it took on huge symbolic importance for both sides because of the sheer intensity of the fighting and the scale of losses. After praising the efforts of Ukrainian forces, Prigozhin addressed Zelensky and said, "When you see Biden at the G7 summit, kiss him on the top of his head and say hi to him from me." He also gave his thanks to Russian President Putin.
Спасибо генералу Суровикину и генералу Мезенцеву, которые дали нам возможность провести эту тяжелую операцию. И спасибо Владимиру Владимировичу Путину, что дал нам эту возможность и высокую честь защищать свою родину.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky drew a parallel between the destruction of Bakhmut and the horror of Hiroshima during a surprise appearance at the G7 summit. Zelensky's arrival in Hiroshima marked a dramatic turn as US President Joe Biden and other leaders strengthened their call for Moscow to end its invasion. This by announcing new sanctions against Russia and increased military assistance for Ukraine. Following the parallelism between the destruction of Bakhmut and Hiroshima, Japan expressed its support for Kyiv.
ウクライナの美しい大地に平和を取り戻すため、ウクライナと共に歩んでいく、こうした決意を新たにいたしました。
During his message, Zelensky likened photos from the Hiroshima destruction to that which his own country now faces at the hands of Russia. Zelensky described the wreckage in Bakhmut, saying one could barely tell where any street and building used to be.
Фотографії зруйнованої Хіросіми саме нагадують мені, абсолютно нагадують Бахмут і інші такі містечки. Абсолютно нічого живого немає, всі будівлі зруйновані, немає розуміння навіть де вулиця, де будівля. Тобто це просто абсолютно тотальна руйнація. Нічого немає, людей ніяких немає.
Greece's ruling New Democracy Party wins the country's parliamentary election. The Conservative Party took a commanding lead of over 40% ahead of radical leftist Syriza. The Interior Ministry projected that New Democracy could win 145 seats, 6 short of an absolute majority. Still, Prime Minister and New Democracy leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis said he believes he was given a clear mandate. His administration was hounded by several issues, including a wiretapping scandal and the deadly rail crash in February. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Alberta authorities hope forecasts of cooler temperatures and showers will help firefighters in battling raging wildfires in the Canadian province. This as forecasters say they were tracking a front likely to move into Alberta that should bring much needed relief, including humidity and even rain. Forecasters say they want to see long, steady rains that would soak the forest into the ground. This as authorities warn that anything more intense, like a storm, could actually complicate efforts. The oil-rich province of Alberta is now enduring energy production cuts, home evacuations, and poor air quality after an intense start to the wildfire season. This year, authorities say they have responded to nearly 500 wildfires, which have burned over 840,000 hectares. Europe's most active volcano, Mount Etna, erupted on Sunday. It spewed ash on the Italian municipality of Catania and forced a shutdown of the local airport. Officials said there were no injuries or casualties. The eruption occurred on a rainy day, which impeded the view for a usual spectacular display of flaming lava. In 2021, the volcano's eruption lasted for several weeks.
Stamattina tutto è iniziato verso le 8, ci sono stati i primi boati del vulcano e dopodiché verso le 11:40 così sono cominciati a cadere dei lapilli che potete anche vedere che ce l'ho anche qua io nelle mani, sono dei lapilli anche 3-4 cm di spessore, di lunghezza, fortunatamente sono leggeri perché sono tutte delle scorie.
A protest took place on Sunday during the Cannes Film Festival against the new retirement age law in France. Dozens of protesters gathered on the Boulevard Carnot to oppose the new reform, which raises the retirement age from 62 to 64. Demonstrators sang what has become the anthem of the retirement protest. We are here, even if Macron doesn't want, we are here. This while a group repeatedly threw an effigy of the French president into the air. The protest was prevented from getting too close to the festival site by police blockades, reducing disruption to this year's event. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. Coming right up is Agenda at 8 a.m. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.